Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies and the Success Strategist. Today, we are bringing you week 38 of Spotlight on Success for entrepreneurs and business leaders, and we're discussing navigating change management, the best practices for managing change in organizations. Why is this so important? It's because it really is the glue across all that you're doing in your organization. It's oftentimes one of the seminal things that entrepreneurs and business leaders put into place before they even begin a new initiative, a new organization, a new business model, a new portfolio. So we want to share with you today some seminal elements of change management and how you can best leverage it to scale your organization exponentially. So you've heard us talk about really this journey of ourself as a practitioner, a professional, a business leader, and then oftentimes going into solopreneur, entrepreneurship, small business, medium, large, whatever that looks like to you. But it's really a journey of your maturation, a journey of your internal innovation, and a desire to build something more, either within the construct of an organization or through your own organizational offering. And so change management helps you take a holistic look at what more can be. When we think about this, it's really about people, it's about process, it's about technology. Please try again. And it's really about bringing together, or in parallel, the organization's journey, your journey, and your team's journey to answer a challenge, an opportunity, or an issue space that exists within the ecosystem, right? So we're not starting something up to start something up because we want to be an entrepreneur. We are starting something up because there is a need for it within our global ecosystem. And you, with your fire in your belly and where passion meets purpose meets payday, if you will, you have something you want to field and you have something that you want to harness and serve with, right? So our products and our services, if we think of it through this lens, are serving other people, other organizations, governments, academia, nonprofit, with viable ways for them to then serve their customers, clients, members, etc. Right? So we are part of a large integrated global supply chain of products and or services. And when we can think of ourselves in that manner, then we need to be able to take that into account from concept to fielding and growth and scaling and beyond. So the first thing we have to understand is we obviously cannot be all things to all people. So what is it that we stand for? What is our why? What is our purpose? But what is our passion? And then what is our vision for being able to monetize that in multiple forms? You've heard us talk about this balanced portfolio approach. And really, that's truly what it's at. We want to make, if you have products, we see a huge shift to digitization. And if you have services, we see a huge shift to integrated global services in some way, shape, or form. So how are you harnessing and leveraging that in your vision going forward? The first thing is we have to define, we have to establish a clear vision and the why behind it. Oftentimes, as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and business leaders, it's going to be the fire in your belly. What do you stand for? What do you care most about? What do you want to bring to the market? Because it's going to serve, and it's going to serve in such a way where it tackles a big, huge, hairy problem that exists, or because it's going to advance the state of X to such a scale and scope that it's going to change how the world does certain things. So first, establish the vision, get clear on your purpose, communicate the vision. So we want to make sure that you have support for, and you're building this really on an ongoing basis, even prior to the fielding of your initial conception, right? Because as we look through history and we see where is the seminal periods of growth and transition, we'll see that change management's essential, right? Because it is the thing, it is the construct we harness to engage our employees, our stakeholders, our not yet customers and clients, and our existing entities, our partners and organizations across the globe. So it's going to be holistic. We need to consider the human element. We need to consider the process element. And we definitely need to consider the new technologies that are coming online and can be lifted and shifted for multiple purposes across our organization. So define the change, establish a clear vision, communicate that vision, and even better, get some co-creation within your organization across that stakeholder set to help create the concept with higher levels of granularity so that you're building buy-in from day one. Next is, we can't move forward without having a comprehensive change plan. And so we really want to make sure that we're focusing on this, because much like we talked about the strategic framework where we worked on gathering intelligence and information and mission and competitive analysis to create an innovation fueled portfolio, we're going to be doing the same thing here, right? Think of this as a precursor even to how you might field that strategic framework, because it's got to be a step-by-step roadmap. It could be one page. It could be a one-page change effort that just walks you through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 in your organization's maturation. And it's going to talk about what are we going to do. It's going to be talking about what are we going to create. And it's going to be talking about how do we measure success with that. But the most important thing is you start with a phased framework on what you're attempting to field according to your vision, according to your purpose, according to the fire in your belly, according to what the world and global customers need. And then you outline the specific steps needed to implement that. It needs to be robust enough so that you can see roles and responsibilities. It needs to be robust enough so that you have a timeline associated with it. It needs to be robust enough so that you can gauge with some level of accuracy, time, budget, personnel, resources that are going to be made available to support this change initiative. And again, I want to really reinforce that it does not all have to be you. You can be the concept. You can be the visionary. You can drive the concept, and you can operationalize your vision through many different means. It doesn't all have to be a large scale organization that you put in place and manage and field. Your organization, you as a business leader, you as an executive can be the one who creates the vision. Then you work with partners and global constituents to bring it to fruition, right? We find the most successful initiatives are those that get backing from many different industry segments and many different organizational types across the globe. Why? Because there's stickiness. Why? Because we can show that we have advancement and maturation in being able to field and add value and global impact in one geography, all while we're shifting and lifting to a new and nascent, perhaps newly developing area of the globe, right? So we want newly developing, we want mid-stage, we want mature, and we're going to have different vision, product, and service offerings accordingly, right? But what we have to do first is start, right? So that hence today is let's start on the vision, the purpose, the framework, the plan, so that you can begin to see what's in the realm of possible from a concept and a fielding perspective. And then also, with your knowledge today, who and what can be leveraged to operationalize it. The change plan does not, again, have to be just within the confines of your organization. In fact, we oftentimes see the more you partner externally, the greater the growth and the greater the scaling capability in the mid to long term. Definitely pilot, but really be thinking about how can I involve those global stakeholders across industry segments, across organizational types for sustainable longevity, scale, and growth. The next is we need to involve our stakeholders. There is nothing more powerful than co-creation and co-design. And when you empower your stakeholders, again, there's many different types: internal resources, external resources, partners, customers, clients, or again, the thought leadership that exists within our global ecosystem across the industry segment is what's going to give you heightened innovation capability, because they're going to bring all those perspectives to bear, and they're going to help you inform risks, which will enable you to grow and scale at higher levels going forward. So again, we want to involve our stakeholders early and often. We want to engage them. We want to identify change champions and advocates, because when we can aggregate our advocacy through other organizations, other personnel, other global teams, we can exponentially grow and scale from an innovation, an ideation, an innovation, and an impact perspective. Next is we want to communicate, train, and support regularly. We have the concept, we have the framework, we have our stakeholders in place. We are really generating the momentum with regard to getting behind the cause, the challenge, the big hairy problem that we're solving. And now we need to be able to step up with regard to heightened communication on the progress of the change initiative. So we want to keep all of our lines of communication open with all of our stakeholder types across all of our channels. And we want to make this truly a global initiative. Why? Because not only do we build demand from the inside out, we build it from the outside in. And the more people that know about it and can hear how they can support and grow and build momentum, and that their actions are being impactful, the more champions and advocates and momentum you can build over time. So keep the lines of communication open, use multiple channels, definitely harness the internet and digital capabilities, as well as AI, as all of you are integrating that into your repertoire for your organizations. And then make sure that you're examining the effectiveness or efficacy of these efforts, right? So we want to, again, in that phase change plan, create and outline the communication channels that we're going to be using, how, why, when, and for what purpose. And we want that to be expansive so that we can get exponential awareness, engagement, growth, and even monetization in some cases through those. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that we're training and supporting. Communication is one, but really as we move forward, there's going to be a ramp up time. So we want to make sure that you have some type of intellectual capital that you can share out with your stakeholders, depending on role, depending on responsibility, depending on geography, depending on what their relationship is with the product and services portfolio, so that again, your aim is to turn them into an advocate, a champion, an evangelist for your effort, no matter what role they play in society across the globe. And when you can do that, that's when you can scale and grow exponentially. Last in this particular bucket is support, right? Support is not just a one-on-one peer-to-peer. Support is really about the mindset and the culture that you're bringing to the efforts. We want to make sure if they have a question, if they need guidance, if they need clarity, if they have an idea and innovations, how does that whole process work, and what's their role in it? So when we say support, we're going to be looking at mindset, we're going to be looking at culture, we're going to be looking at process, we're going to be looking at governance, we're going to be looking at maturation, and most of all, we're going to be looking at really proactively creating this IP and the support structure to serve them digitally and in person as the situation unfolds. And then last but not least, we're going to be monitoring progress and adapting as necessary, because having an idea, fielding the idea through pilots, looking at how we're doing, it has a need for us to create a baseline of value and impact that we're offering to domestic, local, to the globe, right? If we can create these different OKRs, KPIs, metrics, measurements, and most of all, targets that we then have incorporated into our change plan, then we can continue to make progress, because we can understand if we're over, at, or below, and we can pivot appropriately, right? Maybe we made some assumptions that were right on the mark, and we are hitting it out of the park. We are 10xing, 15xing, 25xing. In some initiatives, maybe we just hit our baseline. Yes, our assumptions were spot on, but performance-wise, they were our mid-range, right? They said, we thought that this would probably be an easy enough achievement where we put that in. And yes, we've been able to reach that. So what do we do from there? We want to springboard. And then sometimes we've missed something. Our assumptions our core assumptions are correct, but we had a gap. We had a gap, and we missed a couple assumptions, or we missed a couple risks, or we miscalculated how those assumptions and risks were going to play out. And so now we have a learning curve, and we need to pivot accordingly, right? Because remember, that portfolio of products and services that we're creating have monetizations and revenue streams, and each of those has guardrails, and our performance management system that we put in place to monitor progress and adapt as necessary needs to be trained, if you will, with regard, just like we do investment, right? If we're hitting our mark, what else can we be doing to scale to the next level, scale to the next level, scale to the next level? If we're not hitting our mark, what about our assumptions may have been incorrect? What about our risks may have been incorrect? What did we miss? What was the gap? Or do we need to pivot in some very seminal manner to be able to realize revenues, impact, and value to our global stakeholders we want to serve? So again, this is Dr. Rhonda Farrell bringing you week 38 of Spotlight on Success, Navigating Change Management, Best Practices for Managing Change in Organizations. By following these best practices, we feel that organizations and business leaders can navigate change more effectively, ensuring that employees, partners, contractors, customers, clients, and our global initiatives writ large can feel supported and empowered throughout the process. This not only helps to minimize resistance, but also fosters a culture that embraces change as a pathway to further growth and innovation. Again, we so hope that you enjoyed week 38 of Spotlight on Success, and we hope that you'll join us, Dr. Rhonda Farrell, and our Global Innovation Strategies team as we move through the rest of our season on Spotlight and Success for 2024 and beyond. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at ceo@gblinnovstratllc.com if we can serve you and your organizations on your change journey.